What would you do if your freedom had a price tag? This is the story of Elena Moretti, a girl who sold her future to save her family, who walked down an aisle not toward love, but toward a prison made of gold. And this is the story of Damien Voltaire, a millionaire whose heart turned to ice the day tragedy stole everything he loved. A man who saw people as chess pieces and marriage as a business transaction. She was forced to marry the devil. He was forced to face the one thing he swore to never feel again: love. But when dark secrets crawl out of the shadows, when betrayal reveals itself in the faces of those they trusted most, when the very foundation of their marriage is exposed as a lie built on revenge, someone will have to pay. What you're about to hear will shock you. It will break you. And it will remind you that sometimes, the cruelest cages are the ones we walk into willingly. If you are new to this channel, kindly press the sunrise button and like the video. Thank you. This is their story. And nothing about it is what you think. Elena Moretti stood in the rain outside St. Catherine's Hospital, her worn coat doing little to shield her from the cold. Through the window, she could see her mother, frail, pale, connected to machines that beeped rhythmically, each sound a reminder of debt Elena couldn't pay. Leukemia. Stage 3. The treatment was experimental, expensive, and their only hope. The bills sat in Elena's purse like a death sentence. $300,000. Money they didn't have. Money they'd never have. At 24, Elena had already sacrificed everything. She dropped out of art school in her final year to work 3 jobs: waitressing at a diner, cleaning offices at night, selling her paintings on street corners for pennies. Her father had died 2 years ago from the same cancer, leaving them with nothing but memories and medical debt. Miss Moretti? A nurse appeared at the entrance. Your mother is asking for you. Elena wiped her tears and went inside, forcing a smile she didn't feel. Her mother, Maria, looked so small in that hospital bed. But her eyes, those warm brown eyes, still held love. Mija, you look exhausted. When was the last time you slept? I'm fine, mama. Elena took her hand, feeling how cold it was. The doctor said your numbers are improving. It was a lie. The doctor had said the opposite. Without the treatment, Maria had 3 months. Maybe 4.
Elena.
Her mother's grip tightened weakly. I need you to promise me something. When I'm gone. Don't talk like that. Listen to me. Maria's voice was firm despite her frailty. When I'm gone, you live. You finish school. You find love. You don't throw your life away for someone who's already had theirs. Elena couldn't hold back the tears. You're not going anywhere, Mama. I'll find a way. I always do. But as she left the hospital that night, Elena knew the truth. There was no way. No amount of extra shifts, no number of sold paintings, no miracle that would bring $300,000 in time. She was about to lose the only family she had left. That's when her phone rang. Unknown number.
Elena Moretti.
The voice was male, smooth, professional. Yes. My name is Marcus Webb. I'm the attorney for Damien Voltaire. Mr. Voltaire would like to meet with you regarding a proposition. One that would solve your financial difficulties. Elena's heart raced. I don't understand. I don't know any Damien Voltaire. But he knows of you. Tomorrow, 6 p.m., Voltaire Industries headquarters. I promise you, Miss Moretti, this meeting will change your life. He hung up before she could respond. Elena stood on the rain-soaked sidewalk, staring at her phone. Damien Voltaire. She'd heard the name. Everyone had. He was a millionaire, 32 years old, who'd built a tech empire from inheritance money after his parents died in a mysterious fire. The tabloids called him the Ice Prince, because of his reputation for ruthless business dealings and complete emotional detachment. Why would someone like that want to meet someone like her? She almost didn't go. But desperation makes people do things they'd never consider. And Elena was drowning in desperation. The next evening, she stood outside Voltaire Industries, a sleek glass tower that seemed to pierce the sky. Security escorted her to the top floor, to an office so luxurious it felt like a different world. And there he was. Damien Voltaire stood by floor-to-ceiling windows, his back to her, silhouetted against the city lights. When he turned, Elena's breath caught. He was devastatingly handsome, sharp jawline, dark hair perfectly styled, steel-gray eyes that looked right through her. But there was something cold about him, something that made her want to step back. "Miss Moretti." His voice was deep, controlled, emotionless. "Thank you for coming." "I don't understand why I'm here," Elena said, hating how small her voice sounded. "Your mother is dying. Leukemia. The experimental treatment at St. Catherine's costs $300,000. You work 3 jobs and barely make rent." He said it clinically, like reading a report. "You're drowning, Miss Moretti. I'm offering you a life raft. How do you know about my mother?" Anger flared through her fear. "I make it my business to know things." Damien moved to his desk, pulled out a document. "I'm prepared to pay all your mother's medical expenses. Full treatment, best doctors, private room, plus $100,000 for any additional costs or debts." Elena's heart stopped. $400,000? Why would you? "In exchange," Damien continued as if she hadn't spoken, "you will marry me." The words hung in there like a bomb. "What?"
Elena whispered.
"A marriage contract. 1 year. You will live in my home, appear at my side for public events, and play the role of devoted wife. In return, your mother gets her treatment, you get financial security, and at the end of 12 months, we divorce quietly. You walk away with an additional $500,000. Elena felt dizzy. This is insane. Why would you want to marry a stranger? For the first time, something flickered in Damien's cold eyes. Anger. Pain. It vanished before she could identify it. "My reasons are my own. What matters is the offer on the table. Your mother's life for 1 year of yours. I suggest you consider carefully, Miss Moretti. The clock is ticking." Elena looked at the contract, at the man offering her a devil's bargain, at the city lights beyond the window that represented a world she'd never belonged to. She thought of her mother's face. Her mother's voice saying, "Find love. Don't throw your life away." But what choice did she have? "If I say yes..." Elena's voice shook. "You'll pay for everything? The treatment starts immediately. Treatment begins tomorrow. Full payment up front. And after the year I'm free? No strings. No strings." His face was unreadable. "Except one rule, Miss Moretti. Don't fall in love with me. This is a business arrangement. Nothing more." Elena looked into those steel-gray eyes and saw nothing but ice. "Don't worry, Mr. Voltaire," she said quietly. "That won't be a problem." She signed the contract with shaking hands, selling her freedom to save the only person she had left. What Elena didn't know, what no one told her, was that Damien Voltaire's reasons for this marriage were far darker than she could imagine. That she wasn't chosen randomly, but carefully selected for a revenge plot 8 years in the making. And that the moment she signed her name, she became a pawn in a game where the stakes were life, death, and a truth that would destroy everything. The wedding was a cold, sterile affair. City Hall, no guests, no flowers, no warmth. Just a judge, 2 witnesses Marcus had hired, and the feeling of Elena's dreams dying with every word of the vows.
Do you, Elena Moretti, take this man? I do.
The words tasted like ash. Damien's response was equally hollow. When they kissed to seal the union, his lips were ice against hers.
No pasión, no tenderness.
Just obligation. Her mother's treatment had started that morning. Maria didn't know about the marriage. Elena couldn't bear to tell her. She'd said it was a grant, a miracle, a blessing from God. Her mother had cried with joy, thanking God for his mercy. If only she knew the price. Damien's penthouse was a masterpiece of modern architecture, all glass, steel, and cold perfection. Elena stood in the entrance, a small suitcase containing everything she owned, feeling pathetic in this palace. Your room is upstairs, second door on the right, Damien said, loosening his tie. Stay out of my office, my bedroom, and my way. We'll have dinner together twice a week for appearances. Public events will be scheduled through Marcus. Any questions? What do I do all day? Elena asked quietly.
Whatever you want.
Paint, read, shop. I don't care. Just be ready when I need you to play your role. He turned toward his office. Oh, and Miss Moretti? Don't mistake this arrangement for anything more than what it is. You're here because you're useful. That's all. He disappeared into his office, leaving Elena standing in the cold, empty penthouse that was now her prison. That first night, Elena lay in a guest room larger than her entire apartment, staring at designer ceilings, and cried. She cried for her lost dreams, her stolen future, her mother who would never know the truth. She cried for the girl she used to be, the one who believed in love, in art, in happy endings. That girl was gone. Sold for $400,000 and a marriage contract. Over the following weeks, Elena learned the true meaning of loneliness. Damien was barely home. When he was, he ignored her completely. They'd have their contractual dinners, silent, awkward meals where he'd check his phone and she'd push food around her plate. "How's your mother?" he asked once, surprising her. "Better. The treatment is working. Thank you." She hated that she had to thank him, hated being grateful to her jailer. He nodded and went back to his phone. Elena spent her days exploring the penthouse like a ghost. She'd find Damien's books, first editions of classics, all pristine and unread. His gym, expensive equipment, never used. His piano, a beautiful grand that sat silent and dusty. In his study one day, she wasn't supposed to go in, but she couldn't help herself. She found a photograph hidden in a drawer. A younger Damien, maybe 24, with his arms around a beautiful woman with kind eyes and a radiant smile. They looked happy. In love. "What are you doing in here?"
Elena span.
Damien stood in the doorway, his face a mask of fury. "I'm sorry, I was just..." He crossed the room in 3 strides, snatched the photo from her hands. "I told you to stay out of my office. I didn't mean... Get out." His voice was deadly quiet, more terrifying than if he'd yelled. Elena fled, her heart pounding. But not before she saw it, the crack in his armor, the way his hand shook holding that photograph, the flash of devastating pain in his eyes. Damien Voltaire wasn't just cold. He was broken. And whoever that woman was, she was the reason why. That night, Elena heard something she'd never heard before. Damien playing the piano. The melody was hauntingly beautiful and unbearably sad. She crept to the living room and watched from the shadows as he played, his eyes closed, his face twisted with anguish. When the song ended, she saw him wipe his eyes. The Ice Prince was crying. Elena retreated to her room, her mind spinning. What had happened to him? Who was that woman? And why did seeing his pain make her own heart ache? Don't fall in love with him, she reminded herself. This is business. 1 year and you're free. But as she lay in bed listening to the haunting melody replay in her mind, Elena realized something terrifying. It's hard to hate someone once you've seen them break. And Damien Voltaire was far more broken than she'd ever imagined. 2 months into the marriage, things shifted. It started small. Damien began coming home for dinner more often. He'd ask about her day, actually listening when she talked about visiting her mother or the painting she was working on. He'd given her the spare room as a studio, though he'd framed it as keeping her occupied. "You're talented," he said one evening, studying one of her paintings, a stormy seascape. "Why did you quit art school?" "I didn't quit. I had to leave. My father got sick, then died, then my mother." Elena set down her fork. Life happened. Dreams became luxuries I couldn't afford. Something flickered across Damien's face. "I understand that more than you know." It was the most personal thing he'd ever said to her. Their first public appearance as a couple was a charity gala. Damien had a dress delivered, a stunning emerald gown that probably cost more than 6 months of her old rent. "You look beautiful," he said when she emerged, and for just a moment, his eyes held something other than ice. At the gala, Elena played her role perfectly. She smiled, laughed at the right moments, let Damien's hand rest possessively on her waist. To the outside world, they were the perfect couple, the ruthless millionaire tamed by love. "How did you two meet?" someone asked. "She literally crashed into my life," Damien said smoothly, the lie rehearsed. "I knew immediately she was different from anyone I'd ever met." The truth was, she had no idea how they met. He'd known about her, researched her, chosen her. But why? That night, as they left the gala, a photographer got too aggressive, shoving his camera in Elena's face. She stumbled backward in her heels. Damien's arm shot out, catching her, pulling her against his chest. "Touch her again and I'll bury you," he snarled at the photographer with such venom that the man actually stepped back. In the car, Elena was shaking. "Thank you. I was protecting my investment," Damien said coldly, but his jaw was tight, his hands clenched. "Is that all I am to you?" The question escaped before Elena could stop it. "An investment?" Damien turned to look at her, and for a moment, just a moment, his mask slipped. "I don't know anymore." The honesty in those 4 words shook Elena to her core. Things changed after that night. Damien started talking more, sharing fragments of himself. He told her about building his company, about the pressure of living up to his parents' legacy. But whenever she asked about his past, about the woman in the photograph, he'd shut down completely. Elena began to care for him despite herself. She'd leave coffee in his office when he worked late. She'd ask about his meetings, actually interested in his answers. She'd catch him watching her paint, a strange expression on his face. "Why don't you ever play the piano anymore?" she asked one evening. "I heard you once. You're incredible." His face hardened. "I don't play anymore." "Why not?" "Because music was hers." The words came out like broken glass. Sophia's. Everything good in my life was hers. And when she died, the music died with her. Elena's heart stopped. Sophia, the woman in the photo? Damien's eyes were hollow. "We were engaged 8 years ago. She was everything. Kind, talented, full of light. She made me want to be better." His voice dropped to a whisper. "Then one night, there was a fire. Our apartment building. I was working late. She was sleeping. By the time I got there..." He didn't finish. He didn't have to. "Damien, I'm so sorry." "Don't." He stood abruptly. Don't pity me. I don't deserve it. The fire was my fault. I'd been getting threats, business rivals, people I'd destroyed on my way up. I ignored them. And Sophia paid the price for my arrogance. It wasn't your fault. You don't know what you're talking about. His voice was sharp, cutting. You don't know anything about me, about what I've done, about why you're really here. Then tell me. Elena stood too, frustration boiling over. Tell me why you chose me. Why you researched me, why you offered this marriage. Because I know it wasn't random, Damien. So tell me the truth. He looked at her then, really looked at her, and what she saw in his eyes made her breath catch. Pain, yes. But also guilt. And something darker, fear. You want the truth, Elena? His voice was deadly quiet. Your family and mine are connected. My father and yours knew each other. In fact, your father worked for mine. And there are people who believe, people with evidence, that your father was responsible for the fire that killed my parents and, indirectly, led to Sophia's death. The world tilted. What? No, that's impossible. My father would never. I didn't believe it either. Not at first. But the evidence. It's compelling. And when I found out Roberto Moretti had a daughter, I saw an opportunity. He stepped closer, his eyes cold again.
Revenge, Elena.
That's why you're here. I was going to make you pay for your father's sins. Marry you, make you fall in love with me, then destroy you the way your family destroyed mine. Elena couldn't breathe. You're lying. Am I? He pulled out his phone, showed her files, police reports, insurance documents, witness statements, all pointing to her father's company as the source of faulty wiring that caused the fire at Voltaire Industries headquarters. The fire that killed Damien's parents. No. Elena's legs gave out. She collapsed onto the couch. No, my father wasn't a murderer. He wouldn't. Maybe not intentionally. But his negligence killed them nonetheless. Damien's voice was harsh, unforgiving. And I married you to make someone pay. Then why haven't you? Elena looked up at him, tears streaming down her face. If you wanted revenge, why help my mother? Why be kind to me? Why tell me any of this? Damien's composure cracked. Because I didn't expect you. I didn't expect you to be kind and strong and talented. I didn't expect to care whether you ate lunch or if you slept at night. I didn't expect. His voice broke. I didn't expect to feel anything ever again. And then you come along with your gentle heart and your damn understanding eyes, and suddenly I'm feeling everything, and I hate it. Damien. Don't. He stepped back. Don't look at me like that. Don't make me want to be better than I am. Because I'm not good, Elena. I'm not the man you think I am. I brought you into my life to hurt you. And even now, knowing what I feel. He laughed bitterly. There are things in motion that I can't stop. Truths that will come out. And when they do, you'll hate me anyway. What truths?
Elena demanded.
What else haven't you told me? Before Damien could answer, his phone rang. He glanced at the screen, and his face went pale. What? When? His voice was sharp with panic. I'll be right there. He looked at Elena, and the fear in his eyes terrified her. It's your mother. She's collapsed. They're rushing her into emergency surgery. The revenge plot, the accusations, the revelations, all of it evaporated. Elena ran for the door, Damien close behind, and in that moment, nothing else mattered. Not the past. Not the lies. Not even the truth. Only the woman whose life Elena had sold her soul to save. The hospital waiting room became Elena's prison for the next 8 hours. Surgery to remove a sudden blood clot. The doctors said it was a complication from the treatment, rare but serious. Damien stayed with her the entire time. He brought her coffee she didn't drink, food she couldn't eat, and something she didn't expect: comfort. "She's strong," he said quietly. "Like her daughter." "This is my fault," Elena whispered. "If I'd just let her go, let her die peacefully instead of forcing these treatments." "Don't." Damien's hand found hers. "You fought for someone you love. That's not wrong, Elena. That's everything right in this world." When the surgeon finally emerged, Elena jumped up. "Is she?" "She's alive. Stable. The surgery went well." The doctor smiled. "You can see her in about an hour." Elena collapsed in relief, and Damien caught her, pulling her against his chest. She cried into his expensive suit while he held her, one hand stroking her hair, murmuring words she couldn't quite hear but somehow understood. When she finally pulled back, Elena looked up at him. "Why are you being so kind to me? After what you said, after accusing my father." "Because I was wrong." Damien's voice was rough with emotion. "I got new information 2 days ago. Evidence that clears your father completely. The faulty wiring wasn't from his company. It was sabotage, made to look like his work. Your father was framed, Elena. And I accused him without knowing the full truth." "Then who?"
Elena demanded.
"Who killed your parents? Who framed my father?" Damien's jaw clenched. "My uncle, Richard Voltaire."
My father's brother.
He wanted control of the company, wanted the inheritance. So he orchestrated the fire, framed your father's company to cover his tracks, and has been manipulating everything from the shadows for 8 years. Elena felt sick. "And the threats you got before Sophia died? Also him?" "Probably. I can't prove it yet, but I'm getting close. That's why." Damien took a shaky breath. "That's why I need you to be careful. Richard doesn't know I suspect him. But if he finds out, if he realizes you're not just some random woman but Roberto Moretti's daughter." He gripped her shoulders. "You're in danger, Elena. I've put you in danger, and I'm so sorry. Why didn't you tell me this before?"
"Because I'm a coward."
The admission came out broken. "Because I was afraid that if I told you the truth, all of it, you'd leave. And somewhere along the way, the idea of you leaving became more terrifying than anything else." Elena stared at him. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying I broke the one rule." Damien's steel-gray eyes held hers, vulnerable in a way she'd never seen. "I fell in love with you, Elena. I didn't mean to. I fought it every day. But you walked into my cold, dead life and brought warmth back. You made me feel again. You made me want to be the man Sophia once believed I could be." "Damien." Elena's heart was racing. "I love you," he said simply. "And I know I don't deserve you. I know I've lied and manipulated and hurt you. I know I'm damaged and broken and probably incapable of being what you need. But I love you anyway. And if you want to leave after tonight, I'll let you go. I'll keep paying your mother's treatment, I'll give you the full settlement, and I'll never contact you again. Because you deserve better than a man who married you for revenge." Before Elena could respond, a nurse appeared. "Miss Moretti, your mother is asking for you." Elena rose, her mind spinning, her heart torn in two. She looked back at Damien, this cold, broken man who'd shown her his shattered heart, and said the only thing she could: "We'll talk after I see my mother." Maria was awake but weak, her hand reaching for Elena's.
"Mia." "Mama, you scared me."
Elena kissed her forehead. Don't ever do that again. I need to tell you something. Maria's voice was urgent despite her weakness. About your father. About what really happened.
Elena esse blood ran cold.
What do you mean? Your father. Before he died, he told me a secret. About the Voltaire fire. He witnessed something, Elena. Something that proved it wasn't an accident. He tried to go to the police, but someone threatened him. Threatened you. So he stayed silent. Maria's grip tightened. He was protecting you, Mija. Always protecting you. Who threatened him, Mama? A man named Richard Voltaire. He came to our house, told your father that if he ever spoke about what he saw, you would have an accident. So your father buried the truth and carried that guilt until it killed him. Tears streamed down Maria's face. He made me promise to tell you if anything ever happened to me. There's evidence, Elena. Hidden in a safety deposit box. Bank of America. Downtown. The key is in his old watch, the one I gave you. Elena's mind raced. Her father's watch. She'd been wearing it every day since he died, a battered silver piece she kept more for sentimentality than function. Why didn't you tell me before? Because I was afraid. Because I didn't want you involved in whatever darkness took your father from us. Maria squeezed her hand. But now I see you've found someone who can protect you. That man outside, the one who hasn't left your side all night. He loves you, Mija. I can see it. So can you. Mama, it's complicated. Love always is. Maria smiled weakly. But complicated doesn't mean wrong. Fight for him, Elena. Fight for both of you. And bring down the people who destroyed our families. When Elena returned to the waiting room, Damien stood immediately. Is she? She's fine. And she told me something you need to hear. Elena explained everything. Her father's witness account, the threats from Richard, the evidence in the safety deposit box. Damien's expression transformed from shock to fury to grim determination. If your father documented what he saw, if he has proof Richard orchestrated everything, we can bring him down, Elena finished. We can get justice for both our families. No. Damien shook his head. You don't understand how dangerous Richard is. If he even suspects. I don't care. Elena's voice was steel. He destroyed my father. He killed your parents. He's manipulated both our lives for 8 years. I'm not running, Damien. I'm fighting. Damien looked at her, really looked at her, and something in his expression shifted. Pride. Admiration. Love. Then we fight together, he said. But Elena, you need to know, once we start this, there's no going back. Richard will come after us with everything he has. We could lose everything. My company, our safety, possibly our lives. I know.
Elena stepped closer.
But here's what you need to know, Damien Voltaire. I fell in love with you too. I didn't want to. I tried not to. But you wormed your way into my heart with your broken soul and your rare smiles and the way you pretend not to care but you care so much it hurts you. She took his face in her hands. So yes, I'll fight with you. Not because of some contract. Not because you're paying my mother's bills. But because when you love someone, you fight for them. Even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. Damien pulled her against him, kissing her like a drowning man finding air. It was nothing like their wedding kiss. This was fire, passion, need, and something deeper. It was a promise. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Damien rested his forehead against hers. Tomorrow, he said. Tomorrow we go to that safety deposit box. We get the evidence. And we end this. Together, Elena confirmed. Together. Neither of them noticed the figure watching from the hallway shadows. Richard Voltaire had been monitoring Damien for weeks, and he'd just heard everything he needed to hear. The game was about to get deadly. The next morning, Elena and Damien went to the bank. The safety deposit box contained everything: photographs of Richard entering the Voltaire Industries building the night of the fire, documents showing he'd paid off the fire marshal, emails proving he'd framed Roberto Moretti's company, and a recorded confession Roberto had secretly captured. "This is enough to send him to prison for life," Damien said, his hands shaking as he held the evidence. "We need to go to the police right now." But when they returned to the penthouse to secure the documents before going to the authorities, they found it ransacked. And waiting for them in the living room was Richard Voltaire himself. He was a handsome man in his 50s, impeccably dressed, with the same steel-gray eyes as Damien. But where Damien's eyes showed pain, Richard showed only cold calculation. "Nephew," Richard smiled. "And the lovely Elena. I was wondering when you'd finally put it all together." "How did you know?" Damien's voice was deadly calm. "I've been watching you for weeks. Listening devices are so easy to install. I heard everything at the hospital last night." Richard stood, casual, as if they were discussing the weather. "Did you really think I'd let you destroy me? After everything I built?" "You built on murder," Elena spat. "On lies and death. I built an empire." Richard's calm shattered. "Your father was supposed to take the fall and disappear. But he had to be noble, had to collect evidence, had to play hero. So I arranged his cancer, slow-acting poison in his insulin. Took 2 years, but he died never knowing I'd won." Elena felt sick. "You murdered my father. I eliminated a problem." Richard's smile was cruel. "Just like I eliminated Damien's parents. They wanted to pass the company to him, cut me out completely after years of service. Well, I showed them. And I framed your father's pathetic company so perfectly that Damien spent years believing Roberto was responsible." He looked at his nephew. "You were supposed to spend your life hating the Morettis, never knowing I'd manipulated it all." "Why tell us now?" Damien demanded. "Why not just kill us and be done with it?" "Because I want you to understand before you die." Richard pulled out a gun. "I want you to know that I won. That everything you thought you knew was my design. That even your precious marriage was something I orchestrated." Elena's blood ran cold. "What? You think Damien found you on his own? I left breadcrumbs leading him right to you. I wanted Roberto Moretti's daughter to suffer, to be trapped, to watch as Damien destroyed her for revenge. It would have been poetic justice." Richard laughed. "But then you two had to go and fall in love. You ruined my perfect revenge with your pathetic feelings." "You're insane," Elena whispered. "I'm victorious." Richard aimed the gun at Elena. "Damien, you're going to watch me kill her. Then you're going to sign over the company to me. Or I'll kill you too and take it anyway. Your choice." "No." Damien stepped in front of Elena. "You want the company? Take it. Take everything. Just let her go." "Damien, no." Elena tried to pull him back. "It's not enough anymore," Richard said coldly. "You have evidence that could destroy me. You both have to die. The company will be mine, and this mess will finally be." The window exploded. Police burst through the doors, guns drawn. "Drop the weapon. Drop it now." Richard spun, confused, as officers swarmed the penthouse. "How?" "You're not the only one who can plant listening devices," Damien said, his voice shaking with adrenaline. "I suspected you might be monitoring me. So yesterday, after the hospital, I contacted the police. Told them everything. They've been listening to every word you just said. The evidence from the safety deposit box? Elena added. We dropped it off at the police station before coming here. There are copies with 3 different attorneys. You lost, Richard. Richard's face contorted with rage. He swung the gun toward Elena one last time. Damien tackled him. The gun went off. Bodies collided. Someone screamed. When the chaos cleared, Richard was on the ground, handcuffed, screaming about injustice. And Damien was standing, holding Elena, both of them shaking but alive. It's over, Damien breathed into her hair. It's finally over. The police took Richard away. The evidence was processed. In the coming days, the full story would come out. Murder, conspiracy, fraud, 8 years of lies unraveling. Richard Voltaire would spend the rest of his life in prison. But in that moment, standing in their destroyed penthouse, holding each other like lifelines, none of the chaos mattered. They had survived. Together. 3 months later, Elena stood in the same hospital where her mother had nearly died. But this time, it was for a different reason. Maria was being discharged. Fully discharged. The cancer was in remission. Mija, you're sure about this? Maria asked as they packed her belongings. Starting over, building something new, it's a lot of work. I'm sure, Mama. Elena squeezed her hand. We're sure. Damien had done something unprecedented after Richard's arrest. He'd restructured Voltaire Industries completely, creating a foundation dedicated to supporting families affected by corporate negligence and wrongful accusations. Roberto Moretti's name was publicly cleared, his reputation restored, and a scholarship fund established in his honor. But more than that, Damien had changed. The ice had melted completely, revealing a man capable of tremendous love and fierce loyalty. He still had nightmares about Sophia, about his parents, about almost losing Elena. But now he had someone to hold him when he woke up screaming. I never thanked you properly, Damien said one night, lying in bed with Elena in his arms. Not in separate rooms anymore. They'd knocked down walls in more ways than one. For seeing past the monster I tried to be. You were never a monster, Elena replied. Just wounded. We all were. They'd remarried, a real wedding this time, with Maria present, with friends and genuine love. No contracts, no conditions. Just 2 people choosing each other freely. Elena had gone back to art school, finishing her degree. Her paintings were gaining recognition. Bold, emotional pieces that critics said captured the resilience of the human spirit. Damien had started playing piano again, filling their home with music that was bittersweet but hopeful. Do you think Sophia would approve? Elena asked once, watching him play. Damien had paused, considering. I think she'd be happy I found my way back to living. She never wanted me to be alone. She wanted me to be loved. He pulled Elena onto the piano bench beside him. And I am. So loved. Richard's trial was public and brutal. The evidence was overwhelming. Murder, conspiracy, attempted murder of Elena and Damien. He was sentenced to life without parole. As they led him away, he'd looked at Damien one last time. You were always weak, Richard spat. Choosing love over power. You'll lose everything.
No, Damian replied calmly.
I finally gained everything. The company thrived under Damien's new leadership. Turned out that treating people with respect and integrity was actually good for business. Who knew? But the real victory was smaller, more personal. It was in the way Elena would leave coffee in Damien's office, and he'd always stop to drink it, no matter how busy. It was in the way he'd show up at her studio with lunch, watching her paint for hours without complaint. It was in the way they'd visit Maria together every Sunday, Damien calling her Mom and meaning it. "I was so angry at you for buying me," Elena admitted one evening, curled up on the couch together. "For forcing me into this marriage. I don't blame you. It was manipulative and wrong. But if you hadn't..." Elena looked up at him. "We never would have met. My mother would have died. Your uncle would still be free, poisoning everything. Maybe God uses even our mistakes for something good." Damien kissed her forehead. "Maybe he does." So what happened to Elena and Damien? They built a life on the ashes of the one Richard tried to destroy. Elena's art foundation now provides scholarships to students who have to drop out due to family emergencies, giving them the second chance she almost never got. Damien's company leads the industry in ethical practices, proving that kindness and profit aren't mutually exclusive. Maria lived to see her daughter graduate art school, to hold her first grandchild, a baby girl named Sophia Maria, honoring both women who shaped Damien's capacity to love. She passed peacefully 5 years after that hospital scare, surrounded by family, her final words a prayer of gratitude. Richard died in prison 3 years into his sentence. Heart attack, the news said. Damien felt nothing hearing it. No satisfaction, no closure. Just relief that the chapter was finally closed. "Do you ever regret it?" Elena asked on their 5th anniversary, standing on the balcony of a penthouse that was now truly a home, filled with Elena's art and Damien's music and the beautiful chaos of a life fully lived. The contract, the marriage, all of it? Damien pulled her close. "I regret how we started. I regret the pain I caused. But regret the outcome? Regret you." He turned her to face him. "Elena, you saved me. Not just from Richard, but from myself. From a half-life of numbness and cold. You taught me that walls keep love out even more than they keep pain out. That vulnerability is strength, not weakness. And you taught me that I'm worth fighting for," Elena replied. "That my value isn't in what I can give up or sacrifice, but in who I am. That love doesn't diminish you, it multiplies you." They kissed as the sun set over the city, two people who'd been forced together by circumstance but chose to stay together by love. And that's the truth about Elena and Damien's story. It started with a forced marriage, with revenge and manipulation and lies. But it ended with redemption. Because here's what they learned, what their story teaches us. Sometimes the worst circumstances lead to the best outcomes. Sometimes the people who hurt us are hurting themselves. Sometimes love finds us in the darkest places and refuses to let go. Damien was supposed to be Elena's prison. Instead, he became her partner. She was supposed to be his revenge. Instead, she became his redemption. Richard tried to use their pain against them, tried to turn two wounded souls into weapons of mutual destruction. But what he didn't count on was the transformative power of genuine connection. The way love can heal even the deepest wounds. The way two broken people can create something whole. So what's the lesson here? First, your past doesn't define your future. Damien was broken by tragedy, twisted by revenge, but he still chose to be better. Elena was trapped by circumstance, forced into an impossible situation, but she still chose kindness. We all have that choice, to let our pain harden us or refine us. Second, real love sees past the walls. Elena didn't fall for Damien's money or his looks or his power. She fell for the broken man hiding beneath the ice, the one who cried while playing piano and secretly cared more than he wanted to admit. That's real love. It sees you, all of you, and chooses you anyway. Third, justice may be slow, but it's inevitable. Richard thought he'd won. For 8 years, he believed his perfect crime was unsolvable. But truth has a way of surfacing. Evil has a way of undoing itself. And those who sow pain will eventually reap consequences. Finally, sometimes forced begins as tragedy but ends as choice. Elena had to marry Damien. But she chose to love him. He chose to trust her. They chose every single day to build something real from something fake. That's the power of free will. It can transform even the worst beginning into a beautiful ending. This story is for everyone who's ever felt trapped. For everyone who's been forced into circumstances they didn't choose. For everyone who's had to sacrifice dreams to save someone they love. You are not your circumstances. You are your choices within them. And this story is also for the broken ones. The ones who've built walls so high they can't remember what warmth feels like. The ones who've been hurt so badly they've decided never to feel again. It's not too late. The ice can melt. The heart can heal. But you have to let someone in. Elena and Damien's story started W.